Hi, we'll deal with the issue of the sale of Hamets for Pesach. The reason the sale of Hamets was initiated is because the Torah says one cannot possess any Hamets on Pesach. The prohibition is not to have any Hamets at home, but rather to possess the Hamets on Pesach, whether it's in your home or it's outside of your home as well, as long as it's in your ownership. And therefore, when the Torah says "Lo yira'eh lecha chametz," chametz should not be seen, or "Lo yimatzeh lecha chametz," chametz should not be found. It's not the literal interpretation that you can't see it or can't have it in your house, but rather you should not possess it. And therefore, obviously, the ideal way to fulfill the obligation of not to possess Hamets on Pesach is actually to dispose all the Hamets, or preferably burn the Hamets before Pesach, or not even before Pesach, but before the 14th of Nisan. And by that time, when Pesach comes in, or when half day through the 14th of Nisan comes in, you would not possess any Hamets, you would not have any Hamets on Pesach. So that's clearly the ideal way to fulfill the obligation of Lo yira'eh and Lo yimatzeh. One should not hold and not have any Hamets seen. However, theoretically speaking, if a person sells his Hamets before Pesach, and he therefore does not possess his Hamets on Pesach, he's not transgressing any Torah prohibition, because the Hamets, even though it's in his home, it's not owned by him. And if it's placed in a place where he would not come to eat it by mistake on Pesach, it's locked in a closet or something like that, he would not be transgressing any prohibition. So therefore, when a person, before Pesach comes in, before the 14th comes in, and he sells his Hamets to a non-Jew, he had fulfilled the obligation. That was a possible way if a person had a Hamets which is valuable and he did not want to dispose and get rid of it. It was about 400 years ago where a common Jewish profession in Europe was that the Jews ran the whiskey industry and the alcohol industry, and they possessed a lot of Hamets beverages. So what they would do, they would sell the Hamets. They didn't want to dispose the Hamets, they did not want to sell it at a low price before Pesach, so they would sell it to a non-Jew and promise him to buy it back from him at the end of Pesach. Now that was a solution that was used by all those who possess so much of Hamets. Nonetheless, one should be very careful that he sells the Hamets in a proper way, because if you sell your Hamets in a way which is not halachically valid, or in other words, the sale is does not take effect according to halacha, so you are possessing Hamets on Pesach. In the later generations where we live today, it's not only those who have alcohol factories have a problem, but today food is made in such a way that we can hold it and possess it for a long time, and therefore many of us have a problem of Hamets coming running over Pesach. So here also, ideally, if one can avoid the solution of selling, that's the best way to go. You should finish all your Hamets before Pesach. After Purim, make sure that you finish all your Mishloach Manot, and you've got only a little bit left before Pesach, and for your Hamets you burn and dispose everything that you have leftovers. However, if the situation is not such and you have a large amount of Hamets, the solution of selling Hamets is a valid solution. Ideally, one should try not to sell pure Hamets, bread and biscuits and pasta and things like that. But once again, if one has an amount left over that is valuable and you can't dispose rather, so that's something you're allowed to sell. Because there are many regulations and halachot to do with the Hamets, It's preferable with the sale of Hamets. It's preferable that the Rav is the person who will be in charge, and he will do the sale of Hamets. The way it's done is therefore that a person designates a place at home where he puts all the Hamets, and he writes down Hamets, and he would go to the Rav of his community who would initiate the sale to the non-Jew. This sale means that the Hamets is sold to the non-Jew, and the sale is totally valid by all halachic authorities and the legal authorities of the place you live in. After Pesach, the contract says, he would come and pay off whatever he has to pay, because he pays for the Hamets, and if he doesn't want to pay, he buys it back. So what happens after Pesach is not that you get your Hamets back, but you buy it back from the non-Jew, because he doesn't pay the whole thing, and it's not worthwhile for him. You buy it back from him, and therefore during Pesach you do not possess all your Hamets. That's a solution. Once again, preferably not to be done over Pesach if you have real Hamets, but if there's no other way, that's something which can be done, and that's a common halachic solution for these kind of problems.